Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today let's paint an Infernus Space Marine. This video is going to be a small tutorial on how to paint Black Templars because recently I thought, what if someone gets one of the new starter sets for 10th edition where you can get these miniatures, these Infernus Marines, and that person decides to paint them as Black Templars and start collecting them. So this is going to be me trying to help that people because we always need more crusaders. For the first step we are going to prime these miniatures. Please always prime your miniatures before painting them. And as this is going to be a Black Templar, I'm going to use a black primer. In my case I like to use Chaos Black from Citadel. Sadly at this moment I cannot record the place where I spray the miniature. But basically what I do is I just follow what the can says. Try to prime in a day that it's not too cold or too hot because that's going to affect the final result of the paint in the miniature. Always check the can and do it with a nice distance. From this point, the only rule that we have to follow is that Black Templars wear black power armor with white shoulder pads. But of course that's only if you want your Black Templars to be recognized as Black Templars easily. You can paint this miniature in full red or full white or even blue and say that it's a Black Templar. It's just that the crusade that this marine belongs to, they wear that specific color because of the reasons that you want. So there's no obligations, it's just that here I will follow a more traditional approach. So, as I said, if right now you ask someone about the color scheme of the Black Templar, they will say black power armor, white shoulder pads and red weapon. An alternative color for the weapon is going to be yellow, because at the beginning they used to have yellow weapons because of course Black Templars are based in the Teutonic orders, so that's basically the color scheme that their heraldry had. Anyway, let's start painting, and for that here I have the colors that I mentioned previously. We have black, red and white. There's different tones of white, red and black. These are just the ones that I like the most personally, so of course you can change this type of colors for any one that you like. In my case I like Wraithbone from Citadel. It's like this very bone white. I like it a lot. I think it suits quite nicely with the black power armor. Then for the red, I like Corn Red. It's a very dark red and I like how it suits. Also, if we use a dark color, it's much easier later to add highlights to it with using a lighter one. That's why I liked so much Corn Red. Even if the power armor is black already, I still would like to apply a very thin base coat of Abaddon Black because this is going to be slightly different than this one. We cannot spray the miniature anymore, but if we make any mistake I can correct it with this black paint, so that's why I will apply a very thin layer of Abaddon Black in the power armor. When I mention that I'm going to thin the paint a little bit, I mean that I'm going to mix it with water. Always, if in the pot it says base, we would like to apply a little bit of water or any kind of thing to make this paint a little bit less concentrated, because if not we will be getting probably textures that we don't want them to be in the miniature. Base coat applied, and now I would like to paint the shoulder pads with white and also the purity seals that we can see here. But here's a pro tip: you can always use a color gray between the black and the white, because like this it's not only going to be easier, because of course we will have a nicer transition if we go from black to white and if we have a gray in the middle, but also we will manage to get a nicer white tone, because of course it's going to be nicer to paint white on top of grey rather than white on top of black. But of course don't feel forced to do this. We can skip the grey and just apply several layers of white. It's just that it will take us a little bit more of time, and maybe the white it will be a little bit darker. As you can see, at the moment it doesn't look great. It is translucent, we can see the black underneath, and also we can see all the strokes, but it's okay because it was thin with water, and of course it's going to be translucent, but as I said, it's okay. Now we're going to apply a second layer. With the second layer, you can see that now the color is much more uniform, and right now I'm going to do exactly the same with Wraithbone. I'm going to apply 2 thin layers all over the gray areas that we have already. In the end, I had to apply 3 layers of white, but that is okay, because the point here is to apply thin layer after thin layer until we get the color that we want. I mean, don't try to cover a dark color with a lighter one in one go, because that's not going to work. And for example, if you look here, just by applying thin layer after thin layer, we have like a very smooth shoulder pad. There's not a visible texture, and that's what we want. Now it is the turn for the color red, and as I mentioned previously, we are going to paint the weapon, we are going to paint the purity seals as well, and also the eyes. Same procedure as before, as many thin layers as necessary, and try to avoid creating texture. Three colors, and we already can recognize this miniature as a Black Templar. There is still a lot of details that are not painted, like for example we can see here in the back, so that's why we will apply 2 different colors, and with this we should finish the battle ready stage. So I like a lot Let the Belcher. I like to use this color for the inside parts of the power armor. I also like to use it for some details here in the back, and I like to use it for the weapon and also for the symbol in the chest. As usual, you can use different colors, but me personally, I like the combination of silver and black. There is people that decide to use more bronze colors or golden colors. I just like this metallic silver vibe, so that's why I'll go for it. And then I like to use this specific brown color, Morphan brown, for the leather, because we have like the holder of the pistol, we have like this pocket here, and we also have like a belt around the waist of the miniature. So for that I like to use a brown color, but as usual we can use different colors for that. It's just that me personally, I like how neutral brown is for these kind of things. We can also apply lead belcher to the rest of the weapon, but in my case I personally like to apply Balthasar Gold for these specific parts of this specific weapon. This miniature is battle ready. We can already play with this miniature, we can set this one in the battlefield and everyone will assume that it's a Black Templar, so it's quite nice for the immersion. It's much better this than having unpainted miniature, so this is like a very good step. I used 8 different paints during the video, but as I mentioned, 2 of them were more like a personal preference, so those ones can be skipped, and we require a minimum of 6 different paints to have this Space Marine nicely painted with all the details. And yes, this should be the minimum that everyone should aim with their miniatures. There are several things that we can do to make this miniature look much nicer, and the first of all is to apply some shades to it. I have here 2, they are my personal favorite ones, especially for Space Marines and Black Templars. So I'm going to use this one, Agrax Earthshade, and I will use it in the Purity Seals, this white part over here. I will use it in the golden elements that I painted, like this, and also I'm going to apply it to the brown. And then I'm going to use Nuln Oil, and I will use this one on all the silver details, and I will apply it very carefully at the shoulder pad, but I will show that later. With the shoulder pads, the most difficult part to paint is like this gap between the black and the white, because as you can see it's quite difficult. You really need to be very precise for that. But we can make it easier just by applying a little bit of Nuln Oil there, like this. With some shades applied, the results are much better now. This miniature looks nicer, and as you can see, all the details are popping out much better. Like for example, if we take a look at this skull right here, or if we take a look at the weapon or the symbol in the chest, it's a nicer result. And for example, we can see the shoulder pad that we also have like a nicer transition between the white and the black. So yes, with some shades, the result is much better. To make this miniature look even better, now we can start applying highlights to it. As I mentioned previously at the beginning of the video, I like to start with a very dark red that I even make darker applying Nuln Oil over it, and that's why now I can make a nice highlight with Evil Sunz Scarlet. At this point, we can also start with the highlights of the Black Power Armor, and there's like a huge quantity of ways to highlight Black Armor. There's people that they like to dry brush it at the beginning. There's people that they like different type of techniques or styles. Me personally, I like the classic edge highlighting, and for that I like these two colors, but still there's other colors that we can use to edge highlight the black power armor. Grays, some metallic colors, I mean whatever we want. But as I said, in my case, I like to apply Dark Reaper in every single edge of the black power armor. This is like a super dark bluish. Not too much of this one because I don't want the miniature to look this color. I want the black power armor to look black. And after that, I like to apply a little bit of Fenrisian Grey. This is a nice grey that I like in the areas that I consider that they are going to be the most exposed. But I already made a video some time ago explaining how I do the edge highlights of the black power armor of my Black Templars, so I'm going to leave in the description for more details in case that you are interested. It is quite subtle, but that's the point. As you can see here, at least right now, the shapes in the black power armor are much more defined. And that's why I like to apply a second highlight, and I use Fenrisian Grey. In this case, we are going to have a very little bit of paint in the brush, and we will try to be quite gentle and not to make too thick lines. Like this, we can consider the power armor as finished. As you can see, it's good not to apply too much because we just want the details to pop out a little bit in the black power armor. As I said previously, I already made a video specifically talking about how I do the highlights of the black power armor of my Templars. So if you would like to check it, of course I will leave the link in the description. And to finish with the painting, we can just apply some extra highlights. Like for example, in my personal case, I like to apply Rundlord brush to the weapon, to the golden parts that I painted previously. And I like to use Stormhost Silver for the parts where I applied Lead Belcher before. This Infernus Marine is almost done. Now we just need to add a little bit more of detail here in the purity seals and the shoulder pads, so let's do it. I already made a video talking about how I do the crosses in the shoulder pads of my Black Templars, but still this is a good reminder. In case that you would like to check that video, of course I will leave it in the description. We just take our brush with the nicest tip, not like in my case, but this one will work. And here basically what we want to do is to just check where the center is, because that should be the center of our cross. Here, and now we do a small cross on it. It's okay. And now we can, from here, we can right rest. With the first tries, we usually will get something like this, something that kinda looks like a cross, but not too much, it's kinda sad. So that's why right now the next step is going to be correct what we already did with white. And this is it, this is the shoulder pad, and I'm not an expert, I make mistakes of course, but basically this technique of you make the cross, if it's not perfect it doesn't matter, you can correct it and then you define it to be like it should be. So you then do another one in the other shoulder pad, and here we have a proper Black Templar. I wanted this video to be a beginner's guide to paint Black Templars, and I think that we did quite well with that, because we showed exactly how to paint a Black Templar in a battle ready way with just a few colors, and it will be already looking like a proper Black Templar and we can play with it. And then we improve that a little bit to the next level with shades and highlights. And finally we just add more details, like for example the crosses in the shoulder pads. This is how I like my Black Templars, so basically this is the video that I would have loved to watch when I started painting them, because this is the result that I like. And basically right now we just need to apply to this miniature whatever that we want for the base, and with that we will have a proper finished miniature. And this is it, this is the end of the video, so in case that you have any kind of doubt or question, please let me know, because maybe there's something that I didn't explain properly. And with that being said, I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and of course if you're still here, please consider giving me a like and subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.